Hey guys, I'm Danny with Piedmont Stump Grinding out of Raleigh, North Carolina. We grind stumps. We've been doing this about 7 years now. I get a lot of questions on the phone about pricing. So I'm just going to dive right into that. We basically ask you right away, is it a front yard, backyard? When it's a front yard, we are able to pull right up to the stump with the stump grinder, and we are, it's a easy, it's kind of an easy thing to do, to just pull the grinder right off and grind the stump and leave. But it gets more involved as you get into these backyards. We have to make sure that the machine will fit into the backyard. If you've got a gate back there, it needs to be 48 inches for our machine. Lots of times I can pop off panels to the on your fence, and that will allow us to kind of get in there and access the stump, right? So once we get into your backyard, provided it's in the backyard, we start looking around, and lots of times there's rocks or something around. This, if we have to pick up a lot of rocks and stuff, it affects our pricing. If we run across, big boulders and we got to get down in there and get the boulders out of the way to access that stump, it takes us more time, a lot more energy. And if we leave the stump, if we leave the rocks there, right, we hit that rock with our machine, and those carbide teeth are expensive. So those carbide teeth cost us about $30 each. So when we hit that, there goes our profit right there. So we got 24 teeth on the machine. 3 or 4 of them get broken or whatever. There goes that job. It's a wash. So we get into kind of like the next. I look for rocks, but next I start looking for your root structure. Have you got, here in Raleigh, we got a lot of oak trees, and we got a lot of maple trees. We got a lot of Bradford pears. So these have like fingery, root systems that go out, and I'll look, to see how far out, these things go, and how far, I need to grind in order to, give you a smooth area there when I'm finished. So the root structure is what I look for, and then I start looking at the size of the stump. The size of the stump is, if it's a big, huge stump, of course it's going to take us a while, and we do use a high horsepower machine that is designed. It's a commercial machine that's I'd say the biggest commercial machine that you could kind of get in a residential area. So it's an RG80. It's got an 80 horsepower engine, and it delivers a superior product. We are very pleased with this machine. We shout out to Blade Equipment out in Clayton. It's where we picked it up, and the great bunch of people out there. Dan, Barb, David, great people to work with, and that's kind of the backstory on what we use, and kind of where we got it, and we like to keep our money in the community. So with the size of these stumps, the roots, the access, these things kind of all play into the price. So also something that kind of goes in that can jack up the price a little bit is how big of a hole do you want? Are you replacing your stump there with another tree. Lots of times, these HOAs, they want you to replace the tree. So we, have to make sure that you have a big enough hole so that when you plant that new tree, the tree roots have enough area to grow out into the soil so that your next tree doesn't suffocate, die. If you have a small tree and you see, it looks like it's suffocating, dying, lots of times with these houses that have been built, what happens is the landscapers will leave those burlap sacks or those what do you call it? Those wire kind of mesh rings around the plant's root structure, root ball, and they just put it right in the ground, where they should have removed all that stuff and scored the roots so that it can grow out into fresh dirt and survive and thrive. But unfortunately, we don't see that a whole lot, which, unfortunately we have to get in there, grind all that out, and then leave a nice big hole for your next plant to go in. And if you've got another tree there, we will put it back in the ground for you. We suggest having maybe a bag or two of some topsoil, and we will, make sure it gets in the ground and has a nice area for the next roots to grow into, and hopefully this one will live. So, that's kind of a quick crash course on our pricing and why, why we price what we price. If you have any questions or comments, you can always comment in our YouTube channel. This is my first video, so I hope this was informative. I'm going to start making some more and start attacking different areas of this business and explaining to our customers and, it kind of where we're coming from. There's a lot of topics and I really want to address them and let people know, why we do what we do and why we don't do some of the things that maybe you think we should be doing. And I, open to input, and we're always trying to strive to get better. And we treat all these yards as if it's our own. So, I try my best to do exactly what needs to be done in order to give you the best product for your money. I don't want you to spend any more money than you have to. And, when we leave your yard, you won't have to call anybody else. I'm not perfect. I've missed some things. And if I miss something, you call me, I'll be back. And, that's kind of how we do things at Piedmont Stump Grinding. There's lots of great companies out there, but we definitely think that we're one of them. And if there's anything you guys need, please reach out. If you have any questions, you don't have to buy something from me to ask me a question. I'm here for you. You can ask me anything. My website's stumpgrindnc.com, and my phone number is 919-397-4970. And I really appreciate your time, and I hope this answered a little bit, about why we do things the way we do. Have a great night. Bye-bye.